Dialogue for Democracy Lessons from Rajasthan Federalism and Good Governance needs engagement between the people and officials as the MGNREGA program shows. It is 45 days and counting since lakhs of farmers have gathered in Delhi protesting against the farm laws. Leaving aside the merits and demerits of the laws, many are aggrieved about the process of promulgation of the laws as it lacked any consultation with those that the laws are purportedly meant to serve. Very often, policymakers ignore the need for dialogue and deliberation with beneficiaries. Consultations are needed during the initial stages of lawmaking of a government programs as much as continuous dialogue exercise must be the norm for effective program implementation. Even when policies are anchored in good principles, their implementation is often messy and requires iterations based on people's concern. In particular, redistributive people facing welfare policies need constant feedback. We illustrate this through an example of an implementation of Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act (MGNREGA) in Rajasthan. Rajasthan has healthy tradition of consulting with worker groups and civil society organizations not only in the initial stage of policy formulation but also to take continuous feedback from the field and carry out periodic midway course corrections. In the case of MGNREGA, engagement with civil society organizations had been institutionalized in MGNREGA samvads, some of which were attended by Chief Minister of Rajasthan. MGNREGA wages are now directly credited from the central government to a worker's bank account. While there is a case to be made for direct transfers, this system is not without its pitfalls. An over-reliance on the technical architecture of MGNREGA has subverted worker rights. The troubles are compounded when things go wrong as workers run from pillar to post knocking on the doors of various government officials, banks, disbursement agencies, panchayat officials, and so on. Issue of payment rejections. One such a vexing problem is that payment rejections, which are like bounced checks, these occur when the government initiates the payment but money does not get credited due to the technical issues. There are numerous reasons for rejections and their resolutions require a thorough understanding of complex payment architecture that not only involves various line departments and banks but also National Payments Corporation of India NPCI. Workers are barefit for their own money unless the core underlying problems are successfully addressed. For example, an occasion the block level data entry operators make errors in entering the account of other details of workers. At other times, banks consider accounts as dormant when the accounts are not used for some time. And there are also software flaws in it. While there are some traceable, very common rejection reason called inactive Aadhaar is more complex to resolve. This happens when the linkage of the worker's Aadhaar and their bank account is broken in the software maintained by NPCI. Let alone workers, many government officials and bank officials are unaware of how to resolve these errors. Short-staffed and overcrowded banks mean that workers have to make multiple trips to banks only to told rudely that their payments have not come. Field officials often resort to temporary and incorrect quick fixes with backfire, leaving the workers in abyss. Notwithstanding the range of hostilities workers face in the process, the reasons for rejections are rarely provided, thereby adding more uncertainty to their fate. From the perspective of the administration, it is difficult to look into each payment, understand the reasons for rejection, and help the worker take action on individual basis. Guidelines after a workshop to resolve payments rejections, Department of Rural Development of the Government of Rajasthan has held numerous discussions. These resulted in a workshop involving worker groups and civil society organizations who interacted directly with the aggrieved workers, administrative officers from the village level to state level, and bankers. As the dialogue evolved, Detailed guidelines were issued with a well-defined responsibility, clear timelines, and monitoring and protocols to be followed by the officials. This has resulted in a significant reduction in payment rejections in Rajasthan. In a period of 1 year from the workshop, Rajasthan government was able to clear 380 crore worth of payments to workers that were earlier stuck due to rejections. Currently, only 2.7% payments are pending regeneration from the state of Rajasthan, and 12.3% are under process by the banks. The goal is to ensure that every person who has worked gets their full payment on time. Open communication channels, an eagerness to work with the worker groups, and a keen ear to the ground have benefited thousands of MGNREGA workers in Rajasthan. That is, from bottom up approach is the best approach that has been suited to the Rajasthan. The Right to Information Act, that had its origins in the people's movements in Rajasthan, mandated proactive disclosure of information. However, program information on many occasions continues to be inaccessible, and when available, some are ill-defined formats. This provision got a major boost in Rajasthan as a Rajasthan government launched the Jan Sochna portal, or JSP, in 2019. The Jan Sochna portal is a single platform in the public domain providing information across 60 departments of over 104 schemes. The design and format of each scheme have been painstakingly arrived at through a digital dialogue involving government officials and numerous civil society organizations. The American civil rights activist Jesse Jackson said, "Deliberation and debate is the way you stir the soul of our democracy. Federalism and good governance require constant constructive engagement between the people and officials. If a government is committed to constitutional principles, then paying attention to multiple points of view and listening to the voices of the marginalized is a prerequisite." While there is still a long way to go, the ongoing consultative experiences in Rajasthan do offer a hope to the problems